What's up, and welcome to another episode of GizmoSlipTV. So we are going to talk about Warframe and why it's so freaking amazing and why you should totally be playing it. So the question is, why do people play it? Why do people spend thousands of hours playing Warframe? Basically, it comes down to how much of a badass super ninja can you make. There are 54 total Warframes, but there are some duplicates in the mix, so I think there's around 32 regular Warframes, and they're coming out with a new Warframe later this week. Basically, they're constantly adding new Warframes and new content. Each of the Warframes have radically different abilities. So, for example, this guy can throw out shurikens that seek out the enemies. He can go invisible. He can teleport to enemy locations or friendly locations. And he can also Blade Storm, which is basically he marks the enemies for death. And then two of his clones go around killing all the enemies that he's marked while he's doing other things. Frost Prime, on the other hand, is a character with lots of utility, lots of capabilities. So he can freeze a single enemy. Ice Wave and Snow Globe and Avalanche are really what he's known for. So Snow Globe provides this bubble around him that protects him from incoming projectiles and slows any enemies that come inside of the globe. Avalanche freezes and damages any enemies that are around him. Ice Wave damages and slows down anyone that's in front of him. Frost is a great defensive character to take into defense missions and the different kinds of missions where you need to protect a single point. Nova here, her abilities are to basically protect herself, do an AoE bomb, create a wormhole while she jumps from place to place, and then Molecular Prime either slows down enemies or speeds them up. So basically, you kind of, when you have it slow on, it allows you to take out really advanced people higher level than you are, increasing your survivability because they're basically stuck in slow-mo mode and you're just zipping around killing them all, which is really, really cool. Now, probably the very best thing about Warframe is its incredible combat and movement system. Now, most games you can just sprint and run around just like this. Warframe allows you to do something called a bullet jump, aim gliding, and wall cling. So I can press Control and Spacebar and do a bullet jump, then I can aim glide and just fly really far distances. So if I have a big gap I need to get to, then I can do that. Now you can parkour off just about anything in the game. If I want to climb up this wall, I can just go straight up the wall. I can aim glide down. This allows you to, for example, aim glide and kill lots of things while you're moving around. And if you fall down, you actually don't die, which is really nice, because in Warframe you're going to be falling off ledges a lot, especially when you're getting your control all figured out. To me, the biggest draw to Warframe is the incredible combat mechanics, the incredible upgradability, and the infinite scale of the enemies. Whenever you do endless survival or excavation missions, there are a number of endless missions in Warframe, from defense missions, interception missions, to survival missions, and new modes that they occasionally add. These missions start out at a base level of difficulty. For example, you could start off the mission facing off against level 35 dudes. But by 10 minutes into the game, you're facing off against level 45, 50 dudes. And then 10 minutes later again, you're facing off against level 75, 80. And 10 minutes later again, you're facing off against level 110, 120 level guys that you can no longer kill, so you're forced to evacuate. And of course, as you upgrade your stuff, you're able to stay longer and longer. So the real question is, how awesome and how powerful of a character can you come up with all the various different Warframes and weapon combinations to last as long as possible and kill the most dudes? It is super fun and super addicting. Definitely worth your time to at least download it and check it out. I mean, the combat and everything might not be for you, but at least you should check it out and give it a try. One of my favorite aspects of Warframe is the incredible depth that it provides for upgradability and adaptability. So you've got the basic weapon here. This is without mod slots. You can see I've got 140 impact, 157 puncture, 52 slash. Now, whenever I add one of these mods, it does something different for each and every one. Now, when I add serration, this is something that adds 165% damage to my weapon. And if I add this on here, you'll notice that my weapon damage goes up dramatically. So 140 to 370, 157 to 417, 52 to 139. Just by adding that one mod, I have upgraded my damage significantly. Now if I add split chamber, now instead of shooting one bullet, I'm shooting 1.9 bullets every time I pull the trigger. So now my damage has gone up again. Now if I add something like infected clip, I've added toxic damage, so now I'm doing 1500 additional damage. Now when I add infected clip, it only adds 315 damage, but when I add serration and split chamber, I'm also upgrading the infected clip damage. So these all stack exponentially. Now if I add Stormbringer, now we're doing 3,170 corrosive damage. When I put both types of elemental damage in here, it combined them together to create a new type of elemental damage called corrosive, which is good against armored targets. And then if I want to upgrade my critical damage, now it goes from 2 times multiplier to 4.4 multiplier. You can see that by adding these 6 mods, I went from doing just about 350 damage to doing about 5,000 damage each time I press the trigger. Normally a weapon only comes with 30 mod slots, so you'd only be able to fit like 3 of these on here. By doing a catalyst, you can double the mod capacity, so it goes from 30 to 60, and then you can also further increase the number of mods you can put on by adding Forma. Now Forma makes it so that things are discounted by 50% their cost. Notice how serration costs 14, I drop that on the mod slot, and it goes down to 7. I can add more Forma to this weapon, which I'm going to do, but it takes time. Every time you add Forma, you have to re-level the weapon up from 0 back to 30, so it takes time to upgrade all of your stuff. So once I get all 8 slots here filled up, my rifle will be doing pretty close to the max damage. Now, there is one more thing that I can do to really add a ton of power, and that's called a Riven Mod. Now, Riven Mods are extremely hard to get, and they're very expensive, so if you end up getting a good one, you can sell it on the marketplace for some really good platinum, which is the premium currency here. I'm running pretty low right now. In order to get Riven Mods, you have to do sortie missions or buy them off the marketplace. So Riven Mods are the absolute killer mod that everyone wants for their favorite gun. They can turn your gun from being a really high damage dealer to be an extremely high damage dealer, allowing you to just absolutely crush through enemies. Now the Lanka is the most powerful per shot sniper rifle in the game, and without a ribbon for it, you are capped out at the amount of damage that you can do. Now with a ribbon like this one, that increases damage and multi-shot, you can take your Lanka that was already doing maybe 20 or 30,000 damage per shot and upgrade it to doing 40 or 50 or 60,000 damage per shot, which is just absolutely bonkers. Now the tricky part about Riven Mods is that you only get them through sorties or buying them on the marketplace from other players. They're not that expensive, but the tricky part is that you have to do a mission to unlock them. There's like a task that each Riven Mod takes in order to unlock it. Once you get a Riven and you go through the mission to unlock it, you find out what weapon it's for. Now Rivens can only be used on the weapon that it is designated to be used on. The tricky part about Rivens is getting it for the weapon that you really want. In order to get it on the weapon that you want is going to take quite a bit of time. And then on top of that, you're also going to have to upgrade it using a cycle process where you use Kuva to upgrade it to have new potential stats. Now these stats are grabbed from a random pool of different potential stats that you can get, and you can see this one is not that good. Now notice on this Riven we have 3 positives. We have flight speed, damage to infested, and cold damage. But we have a negative. We have an increase in weapon recoil, so it's going to be harder to control that weapon. Overall, this is not that great of a mod, so I'm going to go ahead and keep my original mod stats on here, which is fire rate, reload speed, and electricity. The main thing to note here is that when you have a negative stat like increased weapon recoil, it makes your positive stats go up even more. So yeah, Rivens are what you can do to take your weapon to a completely new level as well. When you first get into the game, you'll go, man, this game doesn't have a good storyline at all. There is no good quest. There's very little good dialogue. At the beginning, you're basically relying on the game's incredible combat and mechanics to just keep you engaged and keep you entertained and keep upgrading your character and keep killing more things, doing more damage, murder things faster, better, stronger. At a certain point, I don't know, around 20, 30, 40 hours in, you start getting to these really good missions. The first mission that I think is absolutely incredible, and then the next following several are just They feel like Halo campaigns. When you get to Neptune and Uranus, that's when you start getting into the really well written and really well put together storyline missions. There's the Nata mission, there's Second Dream mission, and there's the War Within, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. There's a bunch more storyline missions that I haven't done, but I gotta say that the beginning of the game was very disappointing with the storyline missions, but then the later part of the game kind of blew me away. It felt like a AAA game with a great storyline and really explained the universe behind Warframe a lot better. So if you like games with storylines, just understand that it's not going to be there in the beginning, but you'll get that later on after you've gotten to the Neptune, Uranus area and going forward. Now, Warframe is a free-to-play game. Now, that is great in many ways because you can just download it, try it out, and test it out for yourself without having to worry. But whenever I hear about a game being free-to-play, it causes me to worry because there's too many developers out there that just get greedy and just try to basically money grub every last dime out of you as a player. I've got some great news for you though. Warframe is not a money grubbing game. You will not have to put a dime into it if you don't want to. That said, I did use a 75% off coupon to buy some platinum for myself. I have not spent any other money in the game because I think getting all of the different achievements and getting all the mods and everything is just really cool if you can earn your own platinum and buy them with your own platinum rather than using your real money to get the stuff early. That said, is the game pay to win? Even if you do use money to get all the best stuff, you're still going to have to play the game to upgrade it. And even if you don't have any money to get the best stuff, you can get it fairly quickly. Don't spend money on this game until you know that you really want something or there's something that very specifically that you need. That said, if you do get platinum, what is the best thing you can use it on? The best thing is Warframe and weapon slots. So for example, I have 10 Warframes. By default, you only have slots for 2 Warframes. And by default, you only have slots for 5 weapons. If you want to be able to house this many weapons like I do, then you're going to have to use some of your platinum to get Warframe and weapon slots. One other thing that you might want to spend your money on is Orc Catalysts and polarization slots. Now, catalysts enable you to double your mod capacity, and polarization slots cut the cost of mods in half in your weapon slots. You can acquire these things through the in-game missions, but they are really rare, so you're going to want to use some of the platinum that you earn in the market to spend on those Orc Catalysts and reactor slots for your different weapons and Warframes. So yeah, that's why I love Warframe. That's what got me totally addicted to these last few weeks. It's an absolute pleasure sharing this with you guys, and I can't wait to make more Warframe videos. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Brandon out.